Uh,
We f***ed up.
I need a dollar, 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 that's what I need. Hey, hey.
we are going to jump into this next segment, which has to do, and I really don't like to take sides or get politically involved, but we have to talk about this because it reaches far beyond politics. Donald Trump was just ordered to pay. And if you guys haven't caught this news, it is huge and it is making waves across the market. This is not just a political issue. It has gone far beyond that, and people are weighing in on its impact. A New York judge just ordered Donald Trump to pay over $355 million for falsifying claims on a deal that he did in New York where there were no victims. And so I want to play the first couple minutes of this interview that came out, or this highlight that came out, surprisingly, by the way, on CNN. I'm shocked that CNN even put this out. It's kind of showing that things went too far, and even the news networks are going, hey, like we can't take sides anymore with this stuff because it's just getting out of control. And these judges, well, I'll let Trump speak for himself. We'll highlight some of his stuff that he said here, and then I'm going to show you what Grant Cardone and Kevin O'Leary are saying is the impact of this and how investors are running from New York because of this ruling. And do I think it's going to get overturned? Very likely, because it's completely everything that's happened from this judge so far has been overturned, and I think this one will likely get overturned as well. But that's not the news you're going to hear. You're just going to hear this, and then that news will be quiet later. But let's show you this. I'm only going to show a couple minutes of the beginning of this breaking news segment. Here's Donald Trump, former president and candidate of the Republican Party, president candidate for 2024's election. So here we go.
State judge just ruled, and he's crooked as you could get. And a lot of people expected something like this, but not for the amount. But this is a very dishonest man. This is a man that's been overturned already on this case 4 times. But a crooked New York State judge just ruled that I have to pay a fine of $355 million for having built a perfect company. Great cash, great buildings, great everything. It affects New York. It's mostly talking about New York, where we have a totally corrupt attorney general. She campaigned on the fact that I will get Trump, I will get Trump. Everybody's seen it. Letitia James, they've all seen it. Well, we'll be appealing, but more important than that, this is Russia, this is China, this is the same game. All comes out of the DOJ, it all comes out of Biden. It's a witch hunt against his political opponent, the likes of which our country has never seen before. You see it in third world countries, banana republics, but you don't see it here.
All right, so I'm going to end on that note. There's a lot here, by the way. If you want to see the full interview, go on CNN, and they cover that full press conference release that Trump did. But I want to share with you how people, very prominent, even non-Republican individuals, are weighing in on this news, because it really highlights, I have to kind of, it's sad that we have to disclose these kind of things. I'm not a huge Trump fan, guys, and what's going on is scary, especially if you're someone who's interested in growing your wealth, to see how weaponized politics can sway the law in a way that, frankly, Kevin O'Leary, some of these other investors weigh in on the impact it has, and frankly, the states that do this, because this is not happening in all states. This is very isolated, which makes it very unique, and we've never seen anything the likes of this from a judgment ruling anywhere. I mean, it's like we're redefining laws, and this New York judge is basically doing rulings against what's been happening for decades, which is very, very uncommon. Judges like to rule in a similar way as other judges. Otherwise, it makes the law inconsistent. Now the interpretation of the law on this real estate stuff is going through the roof. So I want you guys to hear from Grant Cardone, Kevin O'Leary, on their feedback on this, because I think it really plays into, one, a warning that you guys all should be watching, and that's where, like, if I have New York investments, if I have real estate in New York, is this somewhere that I want to continue to do business based on this ruling? And two, some of the risks that come with investing in certain states like this, where frankly, it's like there is no law and order. It's just whatever we want. We just kind of make it up as we go. And as long as you're an ally of mine, then we'll rule favorably. But the moment you're not, then we'll cut you out, which really messes with the system that's already in play and already working. And the states that do this, I think, frankly, are going to suffer a lot. But here's Grant Cardone, and then switching over to Kevin O'Leary on their way in on this ruling. And then we'll go from there, and I'll jump into my trade section right after this. So here we go.
We thought this year was the opportunity to come into Chicago, California, and New York City. I've been waiting for 40 years now to invest in that marketplace. I was completely confident, Steve, this was the year to come. And when that ruling happened, it was like pencils down, don't touch it, don't go there.
Prominent investors have signaled their intent to halt their business in New York following the $355 million verdict in former President Donald Trump's civil fraud case. Real estate mogul Grant Cardone announced that his firm, Cardone Capital, would no longer underwrite New York real estate, just days after Shark Tank star Kevin O'Leary vowed to no longer invest in the state as a result of the verdict.
I'm no different than any other investor. I'm shocked at this. I can't even understand or fathom the decision at all. There's no rationale for it.
Cardone said in a post, "Immediately discontinue all underwriting on New York City real estate. The risks outweigh the opportunities at this time. Recent political decisions will continue to deteriorate price and benefit states that don't have these challenges. Focus on Texas and Florida." Judge Arthur Engoron ruled that Trump must pay over $355 million for conspiring to alter his net worth to receive tax and insurance benefits. Engoron's verdict additionally bars Trump and his sons, Eric and Donald Jr., from doing business in New York for 3 years. O'Leary called New York a loser state and told Fox Business that he would never invest in New York now.
New Yorkers should be concerned. The fine people of New York should ask themselves, why are we such a loser state? How are we going to attract business? It's not just the existing businesses that are fleeing out to Texas and Florida. What about new money like this that I'm talking about, like a $4 billion data center? Not a chance I would put that in New York. Zero probability. Never.
Guys, this is shocking. Like, from years ago, one, we would never have saw these news networks highlighting this type of news. And two, to have residents. By the way, all three of these guys have residents and significant investments in. And for them, I mean, think about it. I just want you to kind of chew on this for a minute. To be in a position where you own the underlying asset and you are going out publicly and saying, this is garbage now, deteriorates your own assets also. It typically, when you own something, a stock, whatever, when you have a chance to get on live television, you whitewash it, right? You make things sound amazing and great because you want to keep your asset price high. Well, these guys are not only ex-residents of New York, but also have significant investments in, and they're coming out even in the face of, I mean, they could even have this kind of scrutiny happen publicly facing like this, and likely will, but they're saying it anyways because it's just gotten out of control. And so why do I bring this up on the Market Pulse? Because you might be thinking about investing in New York. You might be looking at buying real estate in New York. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't based on this data alone. Are there still some deals out there or ways you could, turn profits within certain time periods? Yeah. But would you run the risk? Would you run the risk of being an investor that could potentially be in the same shoes as Donald Trump for a victimless crime? And by the way, I think it will go into the courts of appeal and will get overturned. But that doesn't matter. This news, the fact that this is even happening, is really a politicized or political pushed agenda that really should not be allowed to go into the business sector. And frankly, it's scaring investors. It's scaring the public. And I agree with Kevin O'Leary. New York residents should be completely fanatic about this. Maybe if you don't own real estate or you're not someone trying to grow your wealth, you're getting on the other side and you're going, yeah, screw the guys that have money, okay, but watch how your cost of living will continue to go up. Watch how expenses and inflation in your area will be significantly higher than other states. And so it's like you just have to understand how economics work. And states like, they even pointed out, Texas and Florida, who aren't doing these type of things, are bringing industry, innovation, jobs, job creation. And frankly, that helps states like that immensely. It helps the residents of those states. And frankly, that's why we're seeing negative growth in states like New York and California, is because people are fleeing. It's just too expensive. People can't afford to live there anymore. It's really sad. I love visiting California. I love visiting New York. I hate seeing this kind of thing happen. Great place to visit. Not maybe the best place to live. Let's move into our next segment, Sheep Get Slaughtered, where we are going to jump into the S&P 500. And I like trading gold, so we're going to do gold also. And I'm going to give you a good snapshot of what next week should look like. And I'll kind of do my technical analysis so you can see for yourself how to do this on your own and in your own markets that you have interest. So here we go.